Hello, and welcome back to the Brighter Podcast. My name is Chelsea.
My name's BatSheva.
My life is so much brighter thanks to BatSheva.
And my life is super duper brighter thanks to Chelsea.
We love to come on here and share tools, techniques, stories, our life experiences in hopes that they will help to make your day a little brighter. And the other thing that we like to do is to just arrive in the space together. So if you're able to close down your eyes, I invite you to do that. If not, keep them open, and we're just going to take 3 breaths together. So letting all the air out and taking a deep breath in through the nose. And exhaling out the mouth. Take another deep breath in the nose. And exhaling out the mouth. Last breath, deepest one. And exhaling. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited. It's actually been a little bit since we've recorded together because we've been doing all these other things, amazing things. And so it's exciting for us to be back, or at least for me, I know it is. Today, we are going to be talking about beauty and kind of touching on what is beauty to you? How do you gauge it? Has it shifted in your life? And are there moments when you feel more beauty or moments when you feel less? And can you attribute those to any specific things, events, people, situations? So I'm going to let you take the lead, BatSheva.
Okay. I'm excited for this episode because as I get older and wiser and deeper, I like to think I'm becoming more beautiful. I feel more beautiful. That's what I wanted to say. I feel more beautiful. And sometimes there is a stark contrast between what I see if I look in the mirror and what I wish I were seeing. So I'm like probably most people, especially women, never 1,000% satisfied with my physical beauty. And at the same time, I've gotten into a very good habit of not using the mirror that much. It's very much need to use basis, and reminding myself that beauty emanates and generates from the soul, from the person. And I know that I think what I'm really saying is I've become happier. And therefore, I feel more beautiful. And it's really the happiness that I'm feeling, and I'm translating that into beauty. But that said, I care about beauty. I invest in it, and I believe in investing in beauty. And I tell my clients the same thing, that even when we're on a budget and it seems like a big splurge sometimes to do the thing that would make you feel more beautiful, if it's the eyebrows getting done, or it's your nails, or it's getting your hair roots dyed, or each of us has our little thing, our facial, and it can be hard sometimes to justify the expenses or the time that it might take. But it all goes back to me again to that inner compass. If we can align ourselves with what's happening inside and what we're being told by our innermost knowing. And yes, it's influenced by society and everything else, but at the same time, still, we need to follow our own gut. And my gut loves beauty. And I decided after my divorce, for example, even that I wasn't dating and I was barely social, and there was, in a sense, no reason to invest in beauty. I had very limited funds. I was taking care of, and still am, of myself and 4 children with no clear path forward financially. I somehow knew enough to just listen to my gut and just do and it wasn't spending that, we do impulsively to make ourselves feel better, which of course I, like anyone, can fall into that as well. It didn't feel like that. It felt like, no, I want. And So I would go and I found a reasonable priced hairdresser, for example. So I'd go get my hair styled because now I've learned to style my own hair. But back then, like 2-3 years ago, for some reason, I hadn't like taken enough lessons from my teenage daughters, I guess. And I had not ever learned how to do my own hair. And so I was like paying the salon to like do my hair once a week. And then I'd get my nails done. And I kept kind of like, on the one hand, asking myself, why, what's going on? But I just like, oh, shut up to that voice because I was so happy. I just felt like my glow up, that stupid phrase. But I really did feel it fed my happiness. The beauty was feeding my happiness. And then the feelings of happiness was probably radiating through the skin. I mean, that's that element that I see in other people when I'm like, oh, she or he, they're so beautiful. It's generally from the inside, you're catching that vibe and being affected by their energy. So I guess that's what I'll start out by saying. What do you think about all of that?
I definitely relate to a lot of that. And I think that my beauty regimen or the things that I would spend money on it kind of like has shifted throughout the years. I can remember I used to spend, oh my gosh, so much money going to get my hair colored. And I mean, at one point I had gotten extensions, these like crazy expensive extensions. They were called Great Lengths, and they're like one tiny little, looked like a tiny little piece of rice, and it was like attached to like a tiny little piece of hair, and it was like everywhere, and it made my hair so thick, and it was like a couple $1,000s just for the extensions. And that wasn't even like getting them cut or like, blended color or anything like that. So I can remember doing that. I did eyelash extensions for a long time. And I felt so beautiful whenever I would wake up in the morning. And I felt like I didn't need to put on any makeup because my eyelashes, for those of you that can't see, I was born with very, very blonde hair. And still my eyelashes and my eyebrows are pretty light. And so with the eyelash extensions, I didn't have to put mascara on, and I felt like I didn't have to put eyeliner on either. And it just like I just woke up feeling beautiful. So I loved those for a long time. And then just like with me, anything that's like you have to get it done or it doesn't do well, that just hasn't worked for me, like nails or eyelash extensions. Like they have to be able to withstand like the long times in between. Otherwise, I have ended up abandoning them. But those were definitely things I liked. I feel like now, I would say more so now, I feel like it's more beauty products, like super healthy oils and things for the face or body lotions that, are very minimal ingredients, and getting a massage. I feel like that's like my beauty regimen, is going and treating myself to a massage or like to a spa where they have like a mud mask or sauna and things like that. I've recently got a red light therapy, and that is really good for the skin. So that's kind of my beauty regimen has kind of shifted, but it still feels good. And it feels good. I wouldn't say that I'm someone who gets up and like curls my hair like every day, but the days that I do, it feels good. And my dear friend Jackie and I were just talking about this. It's like whenever you're working from home, and you don't have to get ready to go into the office or to the hospital or wherever. And maybe you don't have any Zoom meetings. And so you're not going to see anyone. Sometimes it can get in the habit of not like doing yourself up. And then if you're not going out, which I used to go out all the time, we would go to the bars, be drinking. And so I would get ready all the time. But like, we don't really, if we're going out, we're going to like live music or something. And so that's kind of changed. So just like, every now and then, just doing it for yourself. And that's kind of where I'm at as far as like the beauty is, not necessarily thinking about like, who am I doing this for? Who am I getting ready for? Just like getting ready for me, because I'm the one that is looking at me.
Well, it's funny because I realized that I was thinking about the fact that I'm now starting this whole dating journey. For those of you who are just recently tuning in, I've been separated from my ex-husband now over 3 years, and I haven't even wanted to date until the spring. All of a sudden, my libido kind of woke up and was like, let's do this. And so I got on the dating apps, and I'm kind of like just beginning to do that process. And the interesting thing is that this whole time, these 3 years where I have not even wanted to date, I didn't have a desire in the world to date, to have any sort of like romance, and nothing at all. I think I just, it was like a, what do they call it? Like a sabbatical, although it wasn't a year, it was like 3 years. But you know, when they let the land just like rest, and you know, I really needed that energetically, I guess, from like a romantic point of view. But during those 3 years, looking back, I think I was falling in love with myself, because I feel very in love with myself now. And it was a big process. And part of that was exactly what you were saying, like doing all those beauty things. I actually discovered the eyelash extensions as well over this period of time. And I agree with you. They're amazing, because I no longer need mascara or eyeliner or anything to feel like I kind of have this little pop in the eyes. And all these things, they were like titillating me. I was like getting excited and happy, and, you know, or like wearing like my pink jacket, like wearing pink things that made me like happy. And it's funny, it's a totally different perspective from dressing up for someone. But at the same time, it almost felt the same. Even sometimes I would use that analogy in my head. I was like, well, what would I want to wear if I was like walking out the door and I would just bump into the man who like actually would be my soulmate, would be the one who I would just like want to create a life with, even though I wasn't in the market and I wasn't interested in dating. But it's funny for me to think I did use that trick in my head to think like, what would I want to wear? And it would kind of like jolt me out of like my pajamas, like sweatpants, like crazy hair. And I would take an extra like 5 minutes, really all it took with my like non-routine routine. I don't have like a long prep routine generally. And I would just like put on some jewelry and, you know, like whatever, and like a little bit of blush or lip gloss. And it's interesting that I used that technique, but I was really only dressing up for myself. But I don't know, I had like the mental aid of like thinking, well, what if I run into someone who, I don't know. And I don't know if I still, now that I've started to date, I think it feels pretty much the same. So it feels like, I've been doing this now for 3 years for myself. But now I do think, well, it's certainly nice to be appreciated by other people. But on the other hand, I also realize like with beauty, and especially with the whole being new to dating again, it's so interesting, the reminder that, you know, that old saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And certainly like I will be the type for some guys and will not be for others. And I'm finding for myself, like one guy who might be a traditionally good looking, whatever, like doesn't do it for me, and another would do it for me, you know, physically, and whatever that element is, that it's so unique to all of us. But it's also a reminder, like, it's in the end, we are doing it for ourselves, because the person who's going to be drawn to you, or in your case, you're already married. I mean, he already chose you. Now, of course, I'm sure he's going to be happier. Probably he'll feel the energy coming off of you. Because if you are dressing up for yourself and you feel sexier, then he will respond to that. You know what I mean? So it's almost like wearing something sexy or jewelry that makes us feel, for me, I love jewelry. So that helps me. Or like, I remember when you talked about being on Jam Cruise and putting that beautiful like rhinestone sparkle makeup on your face, and just like how that made you feel, then translated into the energy you were putting out there. And 100%, I'm sure people were like drawn to you, right? Like not just from the beauty, but like from your elevated ability to like, you were the queen or whatever. I don't know. You know, you were the bejeweled goddess.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely think it all has to do with how you feel inside, or at least for me it does, because, and sometimes the two, you know, my appearance on the outside can affect how I'm feeling on the inside. And then, you know, I feel like same thing. How I'm feeling on the inside also affects how it is being portrayed on the outside, I think. And so they're really so intertwined. And throughout my life, I have body image and beauty has always been something, you know, hearing people say that you're beautiful, or like my mother would always say like, oh, I just have the most beautiful girls, da 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 da. Just, if anything, I have beautiful girls, and as much as I love her and I appreciate that acknowledgement, sometimes it was like tough to hear, and sometimes it was tough to believe, and sometimes it was like annoying because it's like, I'm more than that. And then also thinking about beauty in that way, like, oh, do these people like me because I'm pretty? Or do they actually like me? Do guys like me because they think I'm pretty? Or all the things, all the different questions that run through your mind. So, just like with anything, I think beauty is another one of those things that it can play both sides. It can be something that's really enjoyable. And, they always say that pretty girls always get what they want. And to a certain extent, I will say that maybe that's true. And I've definitely gotten some things. But I've also feel like that my personality and my energy or my uniqueness has also gotten some other things. So,
it's funny because I hadn't heard of this term until recently with my teenage kids. There's a term now called pretty privilege. There was white privilege entered into the lexicon and pretty privilege. And I was like, oh shit, that is a thing. Just like you said, it literally is a thing. And also, I was always tall and naturally thin. I could eat whatever I wanted until I was like around 20 when my body metabolism changed quite a lot. But up until then, I could eat whatever I wanted. And I was skinny as a rail, which when I was growing up was definitely the standard. Now I think it's still pretty popular to be thin, but and I was really tall, and that was like, oh, you could be a model, whatever. But the funny thing is, I did not feel pretty growing up, and I would hear it from the outside, and I did not have the classic beauty that I would say you have, like the blue eyes and the symmetrical features and the blonde hair no, I had more Semitic features, and nose is a little bigger, and so I judged myself very harshly through the lens of the cultural beauty standards of, when I was growing up, it was very kind of the Brooke Shields or what was her name? Cindy Crawford. Different Christy Brinkley, the supermodels when I was young who kind of shaped my image of beauty, not to mention obviously Barbie and that whole aesthetic. And I did not have big boobs whatsoever, very much on the small side. And, so only focusing on, not only, but often focusing on what I didn't have that I wished I had. So I did grow up with this dichotomy of not believing whatsoever I was pretty, wishing and wanting to be pretty, and then falling back on my personality, my intellect, and my sense of humor, my talent, all those other things. But then slowly becoming more and more self-conscious because I would just care too much about how other people might see me and view me, that it almost really paralyzed me by the time I reached my 20s in so many ways. So it helped me, just you mentioning that as your mother calling, her girls pretty, that really just triggered all that memory, because it really does make me appreciate how far I've come, I have to say, and how grateful I am to be at this phase of my life where I do still have insecurity, of course, and sometimes things will not seem as wonderful and beautiful, but it's not running my life whatsoever. And I'd say the opposite. I'd say what's running my life is my belief in myself and my love of myself and my belief that I need to treat myself like a precious object. So I think I want to be a beacon for other women and other girls, because I know that it's possible to move from one end of the spectrum feeling shitty about yourself. And it can take some time, and it can take many shedding of many tears and different journeys and trials and errors. But it's really possible to get to a place that you never, ever, ever could have imagined, where you are so happy with who you are and how you look, whatever it is that you have going for you and that you wish was different. It is what it is, but always going back and defaulting again to what are the gifts, the blessings, amplifying those, and then allowing those to kind of feed this feeling of beauty, not looking really for the mirror's confirmation, just feeding it from the inside.
That kind of makes me think about thinking of beauty and not just like our beauty, but kind of thinking of like the acts of like doing things like out of beauty for yourself. And just like it's just another way of self care, which is another term for self love. And so, like I said, my beauty regimen has changed and shifted. And I think that that's what it comes down to is just like showing yourself that you love yourself and by doing these things and it doesn't have to be things to alter your look. It doesn't have to be something to make you different than what you naturally are. It's just a way to care for yourself. And so, whether that's a facial or whether it's getting your nails done and you look down and you see these pretty colors or your toes or, getting your hair cut, getting your hair washed and styled, like whatever it is that helps you to feel like you're taking care of yourself and that you're just like loving yourself because, you think of like people with a new car and what do they want to do? Oh, they want to go wash the car and they want to like clean the car out and they want to like keep it nice. Or, if you get a brand new shirt or something and you're like wearing it out, you're like kind of like being careful not to get things on it. And so it's the same thing with like your body and your beauty per se, is to treat it with respect and with love and with care and to just acknowledge that it's incredible and that you are the only one that looks like you. I mean, unless you have an identical twin, but still, you can tell them apart, like eventually, once you get to know them well enough, and they can obviously tell each other apart. So
I feel like that's a kind of a perfect point to end on because I just love that analogy. Like, beautiful.
All right. So we'll close it off with our wins, wows, and wishes. And so my win is going to be that actually I had the most luxurious bath last night, soak. So even though it's from last evening, I'm still reaping the benefits today. So that's going to be my win, is that my long, luxurious soak in the tub with like 7 cups of Epsom salt. It really like loosened up my whole like back and neck and shoulders. And I'm still reaping the benefits today. And my wow is that I'm really grateful. I stayed up a little later last night than planned. And I'm really grateful that this morning it was still easy to get out of bed. And Hunter and I stuck to our first day. We're on a 3-week little like workout plan together. And today was day 1 and it was easy to get out of bed. And so I'm grateful for that.
Love it. It's so funny that you mentioned your bath because you do seem a bit more chill today. I think it's maybe the bath.
It was. It was
amazing.
So good.
Oh my God, 7 cups of Epsom salt. That is like a commitment to the bath. I love it.
That's what my chiropractor, she was like 5 to 7 cups, like, and as hot as you can for as long as you can stand it. That's like what will really get the muscles to release and relax.
And your muscles were sore because you were playing the sound bowls for the retreat you were giving, or what was it that?
Yeah, just kind of like packing everything, like being on the river and loading up things. And
well, just going to plug quickly that Chelsea has been hosting a retreat recently at Big Rock Candy Mountain, someplace closer to her than me in Missouri. And stay tuned if you want through her website, soulscription.life, to find out about when she will next be leading these magical life transforming retreats. So she didn't know I was going to say that, but I am going to say it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, my wish is going to be very simple. And by the way, for anyone who's just tuning in, maybe the first or second time, Chelsea and I have a daily practice called the Daily W's, where we exchange 3 wins, 3 wows, and 3 wishes with each other. And it's also become the bedrock and foundation of the practice that I coach from. And we like to share at least 1 win, 1 wish, and 1 wow, not in that order, at the end of each podcast. So that's what we're doing. And my wish, bring us home. My wish is simply to feel better. I keep feeling this like almost getting sick, almost getting a virus, almost feeling achy, almost feeling overly tired. But I've been like holding steady and still able to do my exercise and take care of the kids and do social things. So I'm still today feeling that same being on the edge feeling. So I'm just wishing for radiant health and for myself to really listen to my inner knowing and only do the things that will help me stay aligned with radiant physical health. That's my wish.
Wishing that for you as well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again. And until then, may your day be brighter.
Bye.
Bye.